So Ganesh, I was talking to some of our customers in the morning at the SA booth, and what I realized was that some of them have not seen some of the basic services that we have. So I'd really appreciate if you can actually, sort of give us a demo.
Absolutely, yes. We can show you a demo. Are everybody able to see the screen? Great. Last row, can you raise your hand if you're able to see the screen? Wonderful. Great. So, do you have any application in particular that you would like to walk me through?
A customer is actually talking about a CRM solution.
Oh, okay.
So is there a sort of a open source, actually they're talking about Sugar CRM.
Yeah. So do you know that Sugar CRM is available on EC2 free of cost?
I had no idea.
Okay, let us see how to deploy a Sugar CRM application in the next 10 minutes. So this is our management console. So the management console allows you to look at all the services that we have. We have compute, storage, database, deployment services. So it allows you to look at the services. Apart from that, it also allows you to look at all the different regions that we have, and you can launch your instances from the management console from a single account in all these regions as well.
Does it mean that we don't need to create multiple accounts, you don't need to go into multiple consoles, it's a single point deployment?
It's a single point deployment. So on the console homepage, there is no option to go there, but as we get into the EC2 page of the console, you will see that I can select the region that I want to use. It's the same account I'm using. I've not logged off, logged in. I've not gone to a different console as well. All the 8 regions are available right from this console.
Okay, that's very interesting. So EC2 is the resizable compute capacity on the cloud?
Yes, the EC2 is the resizable compute capacity. We offer you compute and memory and storage as part of the EC2 unit, and you can launch your application on EC2. So let us go to the Oregon region, where we can launch a...
Yeah, that's actually, I think, pretty useful because the customer was actually based out of California.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to launch an instance here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the quick launch wizard to launch the instance. And I'm going to name this my CRM app. And I'm going to say more Amazon mission images. I'm not going to use the mission images that are available here, but I'm going to use a mission image that is provided by our partner. And I'm going to search now for Sugar CRM. And that's what your customer wanted to launch.
Exactly.
So I'm going to search for Sugar CRM. And there we go. We have a Sugar CRM provided by Bitnami for us. It runs on a Ubuntu 12.04 LTS. It is a 64-bit. And I'm going to launch it now. So when I launch it, I would like to connect into the instance. So for connecting into the instance, I'm going to open up a firewall to connect into the instance. I'm going to change the settings of the launch config to say, hey, pick up the Sugar CRM security group.
Got it. So how does the security group work? Is it like a firewall setting for your EC2 instance?
Yeah, security groups are like firewalls, and you can have multiple instances on that security group. So you can open ports on the security group to say, hey, I want to allow port 80 from all over the internet, and port 22, which is the SSH port, only from my office. So it gives you granular access to your instance.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome.
So your instance is now coming up. So let us quickly pick up the CRM app that we have launched.
Okay.
And there we go. That's your Sugar CRM app that is launching.
That's very interesting. So within a couple of minutes, no provisioning, no planning, you're able to quickly launch
exactly.
Sugar CRM.
So I don't need to wait for a PO to be raised. I don't need to wait for the vendor to deliver my hardware to my office, rack it, stack it, and then make it available for me. Everything is up and running within minutes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's go into the app. I'm very glad that we were able to launch it. But how can I get hold of it? How can I access it?
Yeah. So as soon as the instance is launched, you'll see that we have given you a public DNS name for the instance, and the public DNS name allows you to access that instance.
Got it.
So I'm going to go to the public DNS name of this instance, and there you go.
There you go. That's it. It's already available for use.
It's already available for use. Yeah. Fully functional CRM application available in minutes on the cloud.
That's great. I really like this, but the URL is a little bit sort of a challenge to remember. I'd love to have like a 12-digit IP address or something that I could fix to it.
Yeah. So let us quickly look at the Elastic IPs. That is another building block that AWS provides. So Elastic IPs are public IP addresses that we give you free of cost. As long as you use these IP addresses, we don't charge them for them. So I'm going to allocate the IP address to this. And
That's it?
That's it.
Can you actually do that using an API call as well?
Yeah, you can do it through an API call or through a command line interface. Please understand that the console is a front end for your RESTful APIs. So as long as it's available as a RESTful API, it is available to you through the command line or through the API or through the console. Okay, so let us access this application from this beautiful IP address that we have just now created. There we go.
Great. So you're able to access the same application.
Same application. It's up and running now.
You know, I just changed my mind.
Yeah, you keep doing that.
I know, I try not to. But I look at this IP address and it's probably easier for me, but maybe not so much easier for, say, a customer who may not be very familiar. So can we use like a human readable form, like a URL, which people can access as
Yeah, so have you purchased a domain name?
I did actually. I spent $4 purchasing a DNS yesterday. I know I am cheap. But you know what? I'm also looking for a highly available DNS service because the provider that I'm currently bought the domain from, I don't really want to use them at the moment.
You're at the right place. We have Route 53, which is a highly available, scalable, fault-tolerant DNS service. 100% availability SLA baked into it. So let us go and open up Route 53 there.
Okay.
And unlike Al, I have got a $10 domain name, which is southpaws.in. So I'm going to open up my domain name. I'm going to go to the record set of this domain, and I'm going to say
that's it.
That's it. And then as soon as this record is propagated into the internet, I should be able to say sugar.southpaws.in.
Wow. That is pretty
Application is
fast.
up and running.
Can you actually do that via AMIs as well?
Yes.
Sorry, APIs?
Yes, you can do it through your APIs.
It's pretty
You
impressive.
can do it through your APIs as well. You can surely do it through your
amazing.
APIs.
That's
So if everything that I'm able to do it through the console is available through your APIs. It's available through the SDKs that Peter talked about a few minutes back. You can actually integrate these into your application code using our PHP SDKs or Java SDKs. That's available for you, free of cost.
Why don't we just play around with the application? I actually want to see how it looks like.
Yeah, Al doesn't still believe that the application is up and running. So let us quickly log into the application and try to create a record in the application for him.
You know, I'd like to see my own name.
Yeah.
Can we create a lead? So while we're waiting for it to come up, maybe you want to refresh it. Yeah, there you go.
It has come all the way from Oregon.
I know. Maybe you should have done it in Singapore instead. They have 8 regions.
So there we go.
Okay.
So I've got a lead there. I'm going to create a lead.
Okay.
There we go.
That's it.
So we've
You're
got
able to save
Al
it?
as a lead, and I'm going to save it.
Great. You know, this is great. One of the things that the customer who was talking to me was very concerned about was they wanted to make sure that the application has some amount of disaster recovery, some amount of business continuity planned. So what kind of options are available for me there?
So we have baked BCP into our architecture. So we allow you to take snapshots of your application from the console or through the API.
Okay.
So let us quickly do that. So let me go back to EC2. And what I'm going to do now is go to my instance. Pick up my Sugar CRM application and create image. All I need to do is give a name for this image. I'm going to call it BCP CRM, and I'm going to say BCP Sugar CRM.
Okay.
And then I'm going to just say create.
Wow, that was fast. What does it create? Does it create just a metadata setup for?
So what it does is it does two things. It creates the metadata that is needed to launch this instance, and it also takes a snapshot of your EBS volume. The Elastic Block Store volume that you have provisioned for handling your Sugar CRM application is also snapshotted and backed up into S3.
Okay. What is this S3? I've been keeping hearing about it since morning.
Yeah.
What is S3?
S3 is our simple storage service. It's not so simple. It's not so simple. We currently store 2 trillion objects in it, and it peaks at 1.1 million transactions, like as Werner told in the morning. You would have heard it from Werner. The other thing is it gives you 11 nines of durability. So any object you stored in it comes with 11 nines of durability.
What does 11 nines of durability really mean?
Okay, 11 nines of durability in layman's term means if you store 100,000 objects for 1,000,000 years, you may lose one object.
Well, thank you for calling me a layman, Ganesh.
Yeah.
Let's go into the
So let us see what has happened to the AMI now. And there we go, the AMI has been created.
Okay, that's pretty fast.
So,
you know what? I just changed my mind. Let's go back to the Sugar CRM app and let's delete the lead. So I want to see that, if somebody goes ahead and a customer probably deletes a lead by mistake, does your BCP setup really work?
Yeah,
so
we can try it out. We can try it out quickly. So I'm going to look at, I'm just going to refresh this and log in again. The internet is really slow here.
That's all right. So maybe you want to pick up maybe you want to go back to the DNS and try pinging it from the DNS.
Yeah. You can try that. Let me just close this, open a new.
Maybe the TTL is taking time.
Yeah,
so maybe
it's
you
taking
want to go
time
back.
to. Yeah, why don't we just launch a new instance?
Sure.
And then go ahead and delete it and see what happens
Sure.
after that.
Let's do that.
So let us launch this BCP CRM.
Okay.
And I'll launch the instance. So again, it's asking me to select the instance type. So I'm going to choose here a medium instance.
Okay.
And I'm going to quickly launch this. I'm going to name this BCP CRM app.
Okay. So you're basically using the same sort of security setup?
Exactly, you pointed it out right. So I'm using the same security setup so that I don't have to go and change anything. My application is still available to my end users.
Okay.
So I'm going to launch this application. That's it, it's launched.
You're done. So if I did actually go, delete that particular record, you can always sort of, bring it back up. Is that right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
And, the customer, he said that the office, the setup they have is pretty spread out. So maybe if you did want to change the DNS, they would probably want it to not impact their end users.
Exactly.
You don't want to keep changing your URL, you don't want to keep changing the IP.
Yeah.
So how can we solve that issue?
So that's very simple. So we already saw that we have a Elastic IP. So the elasticity of that IP comes from the fact that I can take it from one instance and attach it to another instance while the instance is running. So I'm going to take it out of my Sugar CRM instance that I've associated it to, and then associate the address to my BCP CRM.
Okay.
And that's it.
That's it, it's done.
And now what I do is, I go back to my sugar.southpos.in.
I think the DNS is
Still
sort of
propagating.
not propagating.
Yeah, it's not
so let's go
propagating.
back and pick up the IP
up the
address.
IP.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, great.
Populated.
It's actually updated.
Yeah, it's updated.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can still access
So I guess
my
it'll just
application.
depend on the TTL that you define on the Route 53 and on your name servers?
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting.
So I can still log into the same application, the BCP application. I still have my lead then.
Okay, great. That's very interesting. So, let's go back to the console. So we still have about 12 minutes left into the session. So let's sort of jump into a little bit more details into the different concepts that we just talked about. Here I see that there are several different sort of setups here. What really are these EBS volumes, Elastic Block Store volumes?
So Elastic Block Store volumes are POSIX compliant volumes that you can actually format into the file system that you would want to, like ext3, ext4, NTFS, depending on the operating system, and then attach it to the instance and use them as normal file systems where you can store files, add files to it, delete files from it, format it into a different file system. It's your storage, which is attached to your instance.
And how are these Elastic Block Stores different from the ephemeral stores that come with the EC2 instance?
So every instance comes with ephemeral storage, which is attached storage to the instance. So they are ephemeral in nature. So when you put data into it, you need to be aware that it is temporary data that you are putting into it. This data is wiped out when the instance is stopped and started, or the instance terminates, either because of an underlying hardware issue or you terminate the instance. Either ways, your ephemeral volumes are wiped. So you can only store stuff that is temporary in nature in ephemeral volumes.
So in other words, the life of the EBS volume persists beyond the life of an EC2 instance.
Yes.
Okay.
The EBS volume's life persists beyond the life of a EC2 instance.
Got it.
So you can take a EC2 instance, terminate the EC2 instance, still hold on to your EBS volume and take it and attach it to a different EC2 instance.
Got it. So what that means is that if, say, for example, for some reason, there's a hardware failure in your EC2 instance, which is actually doing a web serving, you would still be able to detach your EBS volume and mount it on another EC2 instance?
Yes, mount it on another EC2 instance. Logs are very important for everybody. So logs need to be saved. So you may want to just take the EBS volume, attach it to a different instance, take the logs and put it into S3 for safer storage, so that you can run some analysis on top of it.
In the spirit of the demo, can we have a demonstration for that, please?
Yeah, sure. So let us quickly do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a new instance now,
Okay.
which is my Ubuntu instance, and then name it new CRM,
Okay.
and again change my security groups,
Okay.
so that I've got access to it.
So these security groups that you're setting up, can you actually change them at a later point of time?
Yes, you can change them at a later point in time.
Okay.
That's easy to change them at a later point in time.
Great.
So what I'll do is let this instance keep starting,
Okay.
and let us take this
Sugar CRM
Sugar
instance that
CRM
we just
instance
created.
that we already
Okay.
had, and pick up the new CRM instance that we had.
Okay.
We have an IP address on this, so let us try to ping this IP address.
Okay. Is everyone in the back able to see this? Just raise your hand if you're able to see this. Okay, great. People are able to see it. Yes.
Ping.
Okay.
So the request is getting timed out on this instance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my EC2 management console, go to the security groups.
Okay.
I know that I am using a Sugar CRM security group.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to choose the Sugar CRM security group,
Okay.
and change the inbound rule for the Sugar CRM security group.
So you allow the ping.
Yes. So I'm going to allow ICMP traffic into this instance from all over the world. And I'm going to add the rule. Once adding the rule doesn't make this change committed. So you need to apply the rule change, and once you apply the rule change, you would see that,
Oh, great. So it started pinging.
yep. So there's no change on your instance level, no change on your OS, no change on your application level. It is controlled from outside the application. So you can enable and disable security group ports based on your use case. So you can say, hey, I want to get into the SSH into the instance, so I will open up 22 port during my maintenance window, and then stop it once the maintenance is completed.
Got it. So, if I'm understanding this right, so you have three different ways of actually accessing this instance. One is you can SSH into it, or you can basically use a command line interface, or you can use APIs. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. That's
Exactly. So let us go back and see what happened to our instance that we started. So the instance is coming up,
Okay.
and it is up and running.
Sure.
So I've got a new CRM instance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my BCP CRM instance.
Okay.
I'm not going to terminate it. I'm just going to stop it.
Okay.
And
So when you stop it, do I pay for it?
you don't pay for the EC2 instance. Very good question, Al. You don't pay for the EC2 instance. You only pay for the EBS capacity that you have provisioned, and not for the IO on the EBS, because there's no IO happening on the EBS now. So your instance is shut down. You only pay for the EBS volume that you have provisioned and not for the capacity.
Okay, so if I'm guessing what you're doing is what you're doing, I think what you're doing is you're detaching the instance EBS volume and reattaching it to a new sort of setup that you've brought up.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
So it's still sort of detaching, right?
Yeah.
So by the way, while it's coming up, can you pull up, I see that there's a lot of details available here. So I see there's monitoring. So what kind of monitoring does AWS provide?
Yeah, so we do give you 10 points of monitoring. So we give you, all this comes free of cost. We give you CPU utilization, network in, network out, a whole lot of stuff here. So disk reads, disk bytes, whether the system status is active, not active. So this is free of cost. This is given to
free?
you. It's free.
All the
yes.
10?
All the 10 are free.
And at what intervals are they?
5-minute interval.
Okay, what
So
if I needed a more
interval.
frequent
Yeah,
interval?
we do give you detailed monitoring at 1-minute interval, and these come at $3.50 an instance per month.
Okay, got it. I think it's interesting to actually see them on a GUI interface, but what I would rather do is actually, get notified. So is there a way to get notified with them?
Yes, we do have a way to get notified. So I can create an alarm on the utilization. So let us say I want to create an alarm on the utilization and say, hey, when my utilization goes over 70%, send me a new message on.
Okay.
So I can send a message.
So it's going to now come to the address they put, which is graja@amazon.com.
Yeah, it's going to come to my email address.
I'll push it a little bit further. You can get these notifications, but I think what will be more interesting is that if I could take certain actions based on these notifications, because it's just not enough to get a notification. Because I don't want to get notified at 2 a.m. in the morning and then not be able to do anything about it, right?
Yeah. So we did hear this a lot from customers, mainly from the developer community, the startup community, saying that, hey, if my developers switch on the instance, they walk home on a Friday night and nobody is using the instance for the next 2 days, I needed to shut it down automatically after maybe 3 hours or 6 hours. How do I do it? Are you giving me any ways to do it? And we do this through this. So what I can do is I can say, hey, my network in bytes is less than 10 bytes for at least 5 consecutive periods of 15 minutes. Means that nobody is using this instance. It
presumably.
is idle.
Yeah,
It's
presumably.
idle. So I can take an actions on it and then say, stop the instance.
Got it. But you're still not deleting the EBS volumes attached with the instance.
Exactly. We will not delete the EBS volumes for you. So your code is still safe. It's there in the EBS volume. But your instance is stopped. So you have stopped paying for the instance the minute it stops.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah. So let us go back and see what happened to this instance that we were stopping. There we go, it's stopped now.
Okay.
So let us go to the volumes.
Okay.
And pick up ECP. So we got 2 instances there. So let me go and pick up the instance ID.
Okay. This ends with 79CD.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going
can you actually zoom it so people can actually see in the back?
Yeah. Able to see it? Everybody?
Okay.
Okay.
So it ends with 79CD.
79.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this.
That one, no, the one on the top.
I'm just going to
this
go
one,
back.
79CD.
Yeah. So I'm going to take this volume.
Okay.
And then say, hey, it says that the state of the volume is in use. The state of the volume is in use. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and say detach volume.
Okay. So even though the instance is now stopped, the volume is still mounted, so you're first unmounting the volume.
I'm unmounting the volume.
Great.
So when the instance starts up, you don't want your developers to go and muck around with FS tab and try to mount the volume up. So the volume is already attached and ready to be mounted. Okay? And when you don't want it, you can always detach it. I detach the volume.
Okay.
And
you're going to reattach the volume?
Yes, I'm going to reattach the volume. Let me go and pick up my
instance type that you just created?
Yeah, I'm just going to create a new instance. Yeah, I'm going to use that volume there.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick up the available volume. I've got a.
Actually, maybe you should zoom
I'm just
out.
going to zoom back out.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I'm just going to pick this up and then zoom back in. Detached volumes. I'm just picking up the detached volume.
Okay.
This is my volume that I want to attach back. So I pick up the volume and say attach volume to my new CRM
That's now running. Okay.
And then I give
SDG. Okay. And you attach back to it.
attach it back. Okay.
Okay,
So
it's
it
cannot
can be
attach
only attached to the secondary device.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I get the point. So you basically detach it, attach it to a different instance, and the moment you bring up the instance, you're able to basically get the whole thing up and running.
Yes.
Great. That sounds great. I really would like to thank you, Ganesh, for actually giving us the demo. I think it was very helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, Al, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you, guys.